Okay, welcome to a demonstration of Schoolboard. Schoolboard is a Office 365 solution, so the display that you see on your screen at the moment is how Schoolboard rewraps your Office 365 tenancy. So for example, if I was to click on Mail here, what that would do is it would load Office 365 Outlook. So it's basically linking back to your Office 365 tenancy, which means that any data that is used within Schoolboard remains on your Office 365 tenancy. There is no data that leaves that area, and there is no child protection issues to be concerned with. What I'm going to do for this demo is, at the moment I am logged in to Microsoft Edge, the browser. Schoolboard works in all browsers and on the majority of devices. I think the smaller the screen gets, the more difficult it becomes, but it does reshape and resize to the different device formats. At the moment I'm logged in as myself, Mark York, and I'm logged in as a teacher, and what I've done is I've opened a Chrome browser where I've logged in as Chris Floyd, who is one of my students for the purpose of this demo. So back into Edge, as I mentioned, this Mail tab here links back to the Office 365 tenancy. So do the others like Yammer, Sway, Video Portal, Forms and OneNote. So all they are realistically is web links linking back to Office 365. You can add additional web links onto this page. The school can choose what they are. They can link to anything online. The other sections I've got here that I'll just briefly mention, I've got school messages and school links. Now, as I'm logged in as a teacher, I have the ability to send a school-wide message out or to share a link with everyone within the school. If I was to use messages or links within one of my classes, then when I send that message or that link out, it would only go to the students in my class. Equally, if I was to go into the staff room and send a message out, it would only go to staff within the school. So these groups, these classes, these staff rooms are all predefined, and they're used by taking the data from your MIS and feeding it into your Office 365 setup. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate how a teacher might create a worksheet and distribute it to students, and then they would submit that and it would be assessed online as well. So first thing I'm going to do as a teacher is I'm going to go into My Documents. Now, My Documents is basically cloud storage for the individual, so students and teachers would both have My Documents. This is where they can both upload existing work, any kind of file format, and they can also create documents. So for this purpose, I'm going to go to a new document. I'm going to give it a title. Let's say this is a video test file. I'm going to choose to add that into, let's say, biology. I'm going to choose that it's going to be a Word document, and I'm going to press create. Now what that will do is it will go off to Office 365, open up Word Online and create that document for me. I have the option then to edit that in the full version of Word, or I can edit it in the browser. So for the speed of the demo, I'm going to choose the browser. Now I'm on Word Online, which gives you most of the functions you get with Word on the desktop, but sometimes not preferred by individuals. So I'm just going to write a quick question in here. And I don't need to worry about saving the file. I can just close this tab at any time. I've also got the option in the top right corner still to share this document like I always did in Office 365. I'll close that. And I can see here that the file I created is called video test file. And if I choose down the left hand side to select biology only, then that would show the video test file there. This menu down the left hand side are what we call tags, and the tags can be set up by the school. They can be subjects, they can be year groups, they can be departments, whatever you want to set up. When I select that video test file I've just created, I can open it again. I can go to properties, change the name, etc. I can also share via Schoolboard. Same kind of process as what you get with Office 365, but I get to choose which class I'm going to share the document with. It then talks to the MIS and brings in images of the students or even the teachers, so I can share just by clicking on the different people and clicking share. That means that then we can collaborate on that document live, and there will only ever be one version of that document. What I'm going to do in this scenario though is I'm going to take that file and I'm going to say export to common materials. I will then choose the class that I'm going to teach, 4B, and click OK. Now what that is doing is it's going to take a copy of my document and it's going to place it in the common materials folder for my class. So I will jump back to the front page here, and then I'm going to go into classes. If you remember, I'm still the teacher at this point. When the classes load, I'll have two options. Some that are kind of a orange colour, those are the classes I teach regular, and then all the other classes in the school are displayed. Now I could choose to go into any of those and share files with students, or actually it's designed for that purpose in the way that if you need to cover a lesson, it means you can access the files that those students are using, collaborate with them online still, but it means you won't receive notifications about what that class are doing when you're not covering it. So you opt in and you opt out. I'm going to go into 4B, which is the class that I've just shared that document with that I created. And at this point, I'm going to jump out of being the teacher and open the student interface. So here I am as the student, very similar display. I'm going to go into my class. This student only has one class assigned to him, which is 4B, which means he'll just jump straight into that class. So you are in class B, as it says in the top left. As a student then, my teachers instructed me, maybe they sent a message or an email maybe, and they've told me that they've uploaded my worksheet into the common materials. So I would go into common materials now, and the document I just created as a teacher and shared will have a representation in this area. So there it is, video test file. So as a student, you're asking them to go in and take a copy of that file, which is basically giving them the responsibility of doing that. Now we can set it up that when you share a document with a student it goes straight into My Documents, but we find that some schools prefer the fact that the students have to take a copy themselves, as if they're taking responsibility for collecting that worksheet. Now that Chris, as a student, has taken a copy of that file from the common materials, I'm going to go into Chris's My Documents. Here will be that document that I've just copied. I can then select that. I could choose to share it with my fellow students and collaborate on it, or I can choose just to open that. Again, it will open Word Online. I can choose to edit in the browser, and I can answer the question that the teacher set in there. I'm going to close it, don't need to worry about saving it again. So now that I've taken that file, I've done my work, and I want to now submit it to the teacher, all I need to do is select it and choose to submit. Here it says, "Are you sure you want to submit?" Yes, I do, so press submit. So the teacher has set a document, the student's taken a copy of that, they've completed the worksheet, and they've submitted it to the teacher. Now for the student, now I can see on here that it tells me I've submitted. That's the status of that document. So now I'm going to jump back into Microsoft Edge, where I'm logged in as myself, as the teacher. I am going to go to submissions. I've got a star on there, so there's new work in there for me to see. And when I go into submissions, the file that Chris, my student, just submitted will be in there. Again, I can change it to biology if I just want to see the biology files. So, video test file. At this point, as a teacher, I can choose to lock that file. We don't lock it automatically, because very often students will submit work that teachers want to review, but they then want the student to carry on working on that. But if it was an assessment, you can have it so it's get locked automatically. Now I've locked it, there's a padlock appeared over here on the right hand side. Now first thing I could do, obviously I would open the student's document to read their work, but then I can give that student feedback. Now approve and reject are just kind of defaults. These can be set to whatever the school use for providing feedback to students. So I would say to that student, I've approved the work, press OK, and they would get a notification to say that I've approved that work that they submitted. What I can also do is I can grade the work. So if I select to grade the work, these settings can be identified by the school. You select the grade you want to give and press OK. Now on the right hand side I can see that this has been approved and it's been locked and it's got a grade of 2C. You can then as a teacher archive the document just for records, just remove it out of this folder to keep things tidy, or you could delete it if it's not necessary to keep the file. Or if the student ever needs to access that file again, I can unlock it. For the student now, with that file being locked, it means they can still access it, they can view it, but they can't change it any longer. Okay, unless I unlock it as a teacher, it is now locked. Now where the grading becomes important, if I just jump back to the front page as a teacher, is we can link into, or Schoolboard sorry, can link into Power BI. And that means that basically you can have dashboards set up, and Schoolboard set up a couple of dashboards for each school that take on the product. And these dashboards can track data from your Office 365 tenancy. So what this is doing is they've chose for this dashboard in particular a few different pieces of information to demonstrate and present on this dashboard. And it's a live dashboard, so as students completed work it will change, the values will change as a live dashboard would. Like I say, these have been selected by Schoolboard as an example. The school can dictate what they want to be displayed on here. Now using Schoolboard alone, you can only realistically access the data and the grades from what is submitted through the Schoolboard system. Where there is more power in Power BI is if you take a scenario where you are taking data from both your Schoolboard and from other sources like your MIS or even spreadsheets that teachers use to track marks. If you can take the data from all those sources, you can create dashboards that can track student progress. So at any point a head teacher could log in and see the progress the whole school was making, or drill down to a department, or down to an individual teacher, or even down to an individual student. Now to get that kind of level of access to data and to be able to analyse that, Schoolboard partner with a company called EduBoard, and EduBoard can provide those dashboards and that access and that level of understanding of the data that your school is collecting from multiple sources. So Schoolboard by itself will talk with your MIS, it will create simple dashboards, and it provides that class workflow that I've just showed. But if you want the access to the deeper data and to be able to track student progress more accurately, then you need the second product, which is known as EduBoard, which can be built in to work alongside Schoolboard. Thank you for listening to this demonstration. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us. Telephone number is 01952 567 450 or email info@tablet-academy.com. Thank you.